Well, good Monday morning to you. Welcome to Movement Conversations. I'm Chris Hall, your host today, where we just take some time to talk about life and faith and movements and God and His presence and hunting and wrestling and fishing and everything in between family and life and just anything that we want to talk about during the week. A little bit different setup this morning. I'm over here recording on Sunday morning, so some of the stuff I've used for my podcast is being in the other part of the building. So we have to make makeshift studios during the week to get these podcasts out right now. Hopefully, eventually we'll have a nice place that we can just leave everything set up and just do it the same way every week. But like I said, nonetheless, I don't think you showed up for the decoration as much as you did the word that's being released today. So I want to talk today about something I think that is very important. I think it's very on point with a lot of people in their lives, especially for me. This time of year, and I'll just be very honest, I love to hunt. I love all things outdoors. And so for me, this time of year is a major balance of balancing family and church and ministry and what I love to do, which is hunting. I don't hunt like I used to because now with a little one at the house, it makes time a little more valuable because I don't want to miss her growing up. And I know that sounds tedious, but maybe for you, it's not hunting. Maybe for you, it's other stuff. And so for me, I have to really navigate. I have to really prioritize because I think that we should be able to do the things we want to do, but also have balance in life so that when we do those things, we don't regret them doing them later on. You know what I mean? So, for example, if your child's birthday is next week and you got a chance to go maybe to a baseball game or something, you probably should be at the birthday versus the baseball game. I talked to a buddy of mine yesterday and I was ragging him because he wasn't going hunting last night. It was opening day and he made the comment. He's like, they're only little ones. And I'm like, yeah, you got suckered in. But then he also told me, yeah, but we had an agreement that I can hunt Sunday afternoon. But nonetheless, it may not be hunting for you. It may be work. It may be jobs. It may be ministry. It could be a multiplicity of things. But I think the key is to finding balance. How do you find balance in it all, from church to work to family to ministry to bills to sleep, your dog, your cat, your kids, your sanity, everything that you need to have balance? Oh, and not to mention on top of everything else right now, we're about to start a major remodel project at our house. So put that on top of it as well. But it's all good though. We've learned to adapt. The good thing about us is that it took us so long to have kids that we really developed a routine and a regiment so that now we just know how to adapt and make things work. But here's the truth, and if we're honest, sometimes life feels like less like a balancing beam and more like you're juggling flaming swords while riding a unicycle, if we're just being honest about it. It's just the way it is for me. Maybe not for you as much, but sometimes that's the way it feels. But here's the truth, and this is what I found out, is that balance isn't about doing everything. It's about doing the right things in the right season. It's about doing the right things in the right season, because balance isn't found in your schedule. It's found in your surrender. And if you can get the surrender part right, you can get the balance part right, because there's some things you have to say no to, some things you have to say yes to, some things you have to learn how to navigate. There's been moments in ministry that really I felt like my family should have had priority, but at the time the ministry had to take priority because of what was going on. There's been many nights that I wanted to be at home, but I was at the hospital, or many days I wanted to be with my family. I've had to miss events because of church ministry, because outside of the ministry, it's also my job. It's what I do. And so I don't know what you're having to balance in life, but understanding that sometimes, I hate to say it, there are certain things that have to take the back burner sometimes. And we shouldn't apologize for that. That's just understanding how to find that balance, that there's times that I don't want to say yes, but I have to say yes. There's times where everybody else is getting together, but I've had to go do something because it's part of my ministry. It's part of what I do. And I'm okay with that because I try to make up for it on the back end as much as I can. And it's not always an easy decision. It's not always an easy navigation, but I'm hoping today maybe we can talk about the balance part of it. I look at it a little bit different. You know, when I got married, when we jumped into this thing, we understood that ministry would be a lot of our life. And it's worked for us. For some people, life is just so scattered that they can't tell whether they're coming or going. So for me and for us, I'm hoping I can give you a little bit today to kind of help bring some balance in your life, how to recognize when you're out of balance, what the Bible says about rhythms, and really how to get your peace back, because burnout is not a badge of honor. That's what took me a long time to realize, especially in the ministry. is I really felt like there were times that, me being tired and me burn out was just proof that I was in the ministry, but that's not a badge of honor. That's not a good place to be, because burnout is a tough bridge to come back from sometimes. And so here's the first one. Let's talk about this. It's the myth of having it all together. Let's go and get this out of the way. I'm going to go and help you, help me, help everybody listen to this podcast, whether you're at the gym, whether you're cooking dinner, whether you're riding down the road, whether you're on the toilet, act like you're scrolling, but you're listening to the podcast right now. Let's go and get this out of the way. You ready? Nobody has it all together. Nobody has it all together. I don't care who they are. I don't care how good they look on social media. I don't care what kind of influence they have. No influence, not even your pastor, not your mama, not your daddy, not a mom on Instagram who makes you think she has it all together. Somehow she bakes, she does all this stuff and does Pilates before sunrise. Nobody has it all together. I'm sorry, they just don't. I don't know that we are physically capable of having it all together, because perfection is exhausting because it's fake. And people that try to look like they have it all together when they really don't have it all together, man, that's exhausting. That is absolutely just miserable to make people think you have it all together. So I don't care how good they look on Instagram. I don't care how good they look on social media. Pastors, if you're watching, I don't care how many clips your favorite pastor puts up about him being able to escape to the Navajo mountains to go on a retreat, and everything looks like it's grand for him and everything's great and blah, 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 blah. I don't care what it looks like. I don't care what it looks like. It's not a reality. Nobody has it all together like that. So you have to step back and take a breath and realize, okay, so I'm not called to be perfect. I'm just called to have some balance in my life. Because perfection is exhausting. It is, because it's not real. And the truth is, you ready for this? Even Jesus took naps. You ready for that? That's a good one, ain't it? I'm trying to give somebody the grace to go take a nap sometime today. That alone should set everybody free today, that even Jesus withdrew. He's in the bottom of a boat and that joker is about to sink and he's down there snoring, taking a nap. Bible says in Luke that Jesus often withdrew to lonely places and prayed, and if the Son of God needed time to rest and reset, why do we act like running nonstop without recharging is good? Now, I go back to the pastors of the Navajo Mountains. They may need to recharge, but sometimes I think we just want people to think that we have it all together when we really don't. I wish we just could be so honest and vulnerable and open that we could show people that we don't have it all together. Maybe that's what this podcast is for you. Maybe you need to see that from a pastor who's pastoring a mid-sized church, not a mega church, not some small church, but a mid-sized church with a family, with a ministry, with a podcast, with staff, with family, friends, relationships, and everything that I do, and helping my wife. Notice I say helping my wife because she does a lot of it. Be a parent, be a leader, do mentorship, and do all these things we do. It's not always perfect, but I can tell you it's navigationable. That's a new word. I'm sure there's some word critics that'll be ready for that one. Navigational. And sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do is take a nap and say no. It's a fact. Sundays are I don't nap during the week, but on Sundays afternoons when I get home from church, I take off my shoes. I don't change my clothes. I don't do nothing. I walk right in, get in my recliner, and I put on some worship music and I nap for an hour or two until the little one gets up. Because every yes comes with a cost. It does. And that's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. Sometimes it'll cost you time. It'll cost you energy. It'll cost you resources. It'll cost you friends. It may cost you relationships. And sometimes it costs your peace. But it's not that you can't get it back, and it's not that you can't navigate it, because when you feel constantly tired, frustrated, distracted, that's not just a physical imbalance. And I want to say this to you very clearly because I've been there. When you feel tired and frustrated and distracted, and the problem is it's not a physical imbalance, it's a soul imbalance. It's a soul imbalance, because God will give you grace to run the race. God will give you patience to run the race. But the problem is when you're doing all this stuff, ministry, life, family, blah, 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 whatever it is. But I guarantee you, if you're burnout, frustrated, tired, there's probably not a strong prayer life there. There's probably not a strong word life there. Probably not a strong worship life there. And that may be there, but sometimes it can be to the point that, yeah, it's all you do, but there's no family time there. There's a soul imbalance there. So you have to get the balance right. That's a soul imbalance. If the pace of your life is draining your peace, it's time to let something go. If the pace of your life is draining your peace, it's time to let something go. Now, I don't know what that letting go is for you. It may be for me, before Presley come along, and I'll just be honest, before Presley come along, if you're watching this video, you can see behind me what one of my passions are. Oh yeah, a new addition added to the room now. We got a turkey right here, and there's a turkey right behind me. You can't see it, but there's another one behind me back there. But there's some things, before we had Presley, I'd hunt. I actually told a friend of mine this week. I'd hunt 4 or 5 days a week, and my wife was fine with it, didn't bother her. But when Presley come along, I don't hunt 4 or 5 days a week. I don't get to hunt like I did, and I'm okay with that because there's other stuff I want to be there with my kid. I want to see her grow up. I don't want to miss those moments until the rut kicks on. And when the rut kicks on, probably going to be gone a few more days there in the week. Have you ever looked at your calendar and wondered who made these plans, then realize you're the one that made them? Yeah, you're the one that made the plans. You're the one that done all this stuff. I'm putting this podcast out before Thanksgiving gets here. Before Christmas gets here, at our church, we have our calendar set almost 6 to 8 months out at the time. And so literally when somebody calls me to preach or speak or do this or do that, I'm literally checking the calendar. At the office, I'm checking the calendar. At home, I'm checking my wife's calendar. Never check my calendar because I don't ever put nothing in my calendar. I just go with the flow sometimes. So you look at your calendar and say, who made these plans? You're the one that made the plans. It was you that did it. So how do you balance it? How do you balance family and faith and ministry and life and job and PTAs and ball and softball and basketball and football and sports and events and birthday parties and family gatherings and Christmas and Thanksgiving and yada, 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 yada. That's a big one, especially for anybody, especially if you're in ministry or leadership or whatever it is. We love to say God first, family second, ministry third, but in real life, those lines blur fast. They really do. They do. They do. I've said it all my life. It's God first, family second, ministry third. But I'll be honest, there's been times where ministry has been second, or maybe ministry's been first. Ooh, yeah, I said it. It happens. Anybody that tells you it doesn't is a liar. You better run from it because they're going to lie about everything. It happens. It does. Sometimes I put family first when God should have been first. And sometimes I put ministry first. Sometimes you can't go wrong by putting God first. That's where you should be at. But those other two, for me as a pastor, they get blurred sometimes. And I'm just being honest and vulnerable with you about it. It's the truth. But I know when that happens, and I step back and I try to reevaluate and prioritize. But that's real life. Those lines, man, they blur fast. They blur fast. And the problem isn't loving God too much. It's confusing working for God and being with God. Same thing with your family. It's not that you don't love your family. You can be with your family, but not be with your family. You can be at home, or you can be watch Thanksgiving this year. Go to your family Thanksgiving. Go to your family Christmas dinners. Look around the table. Honestly, look around the table. Make a mental note. You're going to do it. Look around the table when there's 15 or 20 people, maybe 5 or 6 people, and just count the amount of people that are on their cell phone scrolling, or they're checked out. Oh, I'm with my family, but all it is, they want to put pics up on social media and Instagram. Oh, look at my family time. You weren't with your family. You were making a post on Facebook is what you were doing, so people around you could think you were really with your family. What would it be like at Thanksgiving of this year if we literally left our phones in our car, or maybe just didn't even take them inside? Well, I won't get those pictures. I won't get those shots. But you can take the pictures if you want to. You can, but it's that. We're all guilty. My hand's going up as much as anybody is. It just is. So we have to be careful sometimes, because you can be there, but you can't be there. You can be in the moment, but not be in the moment. And whether that's family, whether that's ministry, whether that's relationships, because the greatest ministry you'll ever have, honestly, is not in the church. It's not as much accolades as we get with this. It's not in the church. It's not even on your job. It's not in the gym. The greatest ministry you'll ever happen, you know where it happens? It happens around the dinner table. It really does. We've always done our best to try to eat around the dinner table as much as we can. And sometimes we scroll, sometimes we talk, sometimes we joke, sometimes it's fast paced. But I think the fact that we're there just kind of speaks volumes in itself. And so you have to be careful that you don't sacrifice any of those three. I know we say don't sacrifice any of those three, whether it's family, God, relationships, whatever it is. Don't sacrifice them for the other that you think is somewhat more important. Find the balance, because if you lose your home while you're saving everybody else, If you lose your home while you're trying to make a big living, what does it profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul? I've been in this thing 21 years, and I can't tell you how many men I've seen that have worked themselves to the bone to provide for a family that, if I'm being honest, they really didn't even appreciate it. They didn't appreciate it because they thought that daddy was just Mr. Moneybags and he could shake the tree whenever he wanted. They thought mama was Mrs. Moneybags and she could shake the money tree out back and get money whenever they wanted it. And what does it profit to do all of that? Oh, well, look what I provided for my family. But what did you provide for your family? That's a good moment to stop and think. What did you win? You traded peace for performance. You traded money for your mental health and your mental sanity. Joshua says, as for me and my house, we're going to serve the Lord. Jesus said, that's it right there. What does it profit a man if he gains the whole world and loses his soul? In other words, look at everything I've got. Look at my Instagram platform. Look at my social media. Look at all this stuff I got. But what does it profit if I grow up and my whole world is, there has to be a balance there. And I'm still, after 21 years of ministry, I'm still navigating that. I feel like I understand it somewhat better now. But now, on the same hand, I'll say this about this, and this wasn't in my notes, and maybe this is for somebody that's in ministry today. You have to have a family that understands sometimes that daddy's needed or mama's needed, and they have to be okay with that. And that's a tough one to navigate, but we're teaching Presley early on the joy of ministry and the joy of being here. Most Sundays, she's on stage with my wife during practice, and she doesn't come hang out at the office with me a lot right now because it's kind of boring up here. She has to be entertained a little bit right now, but when she can get a little bit older and can kind of do a lot of stuff herself and not run off and get going from me too quick, I guess what I'm saying. My plan is to bring her around a whole lot more because I want her to enjoy what we enjoy so much. So when your family sees you worship at home, when they see you pray together, when they see you laughed often, I'm going to tell you that's ministry, that's life, because your family doesn't need perfection. They need your presence. And sometimes it may be saying, you know what, I need to reevaluate some things in life. And you know what, maybe we need to have family dinners at nighttime, and maybe we need to just find the balance and the peace in life. I heard a joke one time. The dad said, my kids once told me, Dad, we don't care how many people you preach to, just don't forget to bring us Chick-fil-A. That would be my child for sure. That's balance. That's balance. Because the reality is what you're doing in life, whether it's your job, whether it's your ministry, whether it's the civic group you're a part of, whatever it is, you're a stay-at-home mom, stay-at-home dad, whatever your thing is in life, it should bless your family, not bury them. It should bless your family and not bury them. And so I hope I'm helping you some today. I feel like I'm rambling a lot, but I feel like I'm giving you some nuggets as well. So how do you regain balance when you lost it? Because there may be some listening right now that you feel like the balance is gone, like you feel like it's not there. So how do you recognize it? How do I recognize when I'm off balance? I'm spinning too many plates and I'm not okay. Here's the good news. Imbalance doesn't mean failure. It means it's time for recalibration. Imbalance doesn't mean failure. It means it's time for recalibration. Now, we all had vehicles. We know how that works. If a tire gets out of balance, the whole truck starts to shake. The whole car starts to shake. Now, some people ride around with it and deal with it. And I did that before I had the money to get things fixed. So now the Lord's blessed us some. If I can get it fixed, I'm going to get it fixed, because there's nothing worse than riding around with a truck that's vibrating. I've been there. And it's not that we sit around and say, oh, I hope it goes away. No, it's time to get it recalibrated. It's time to take it to the tire shop and say, hey, my tires are out of balance. Something's not right. They're thin on tread. They're running low on one side. Something's off. So how do I get rebalanced in life? How do I get rebalanced in my home, my job, whatever it is? Number one, you got to reconnect to the source. Don't unplug from people. Plug back into his presence. There's been times here that I could tell that I wasn't the leader, the boss, the husband, the dad, the pastor that I should be. I felt that. I just felt it internally. It's not that the signs were showing externally yet, but internally I felt that I was just kind of failing in some stuff. And so the problem is, when I look at my life, maybe I wasn't praying enough that week. Maybe I wasn't reading my word enough that week. And I don't care who people are. They can tell you they have this perfect, regimented life where they just, in the presence of the Lord all the time, they are full of it. They are full of it because life takes a toll. Life takes a toll. Business, ministry, jobs, all that stuff takes a toll. And there are days, honestly, that we don't get to spend as much time in his presence. So for me, I have to go back to what he said in Psalms, be still and know that I'm God. Stillness is not strength, it's weakness. Stillness is strength, not weakness. Stillness is strength, not weakness. So I have to plug back into his presence. It's not that I'm a bad dad. It's not that I'm a bad boss. It's not that I'm a bad pastor or leader or whatever it is. It's just that I have maybe somewhat disconnected. Instead of running on 50 amps, I'm running on 30 amps. And so I got to plug back into his presence. That's the first thing. That's reconnecting to the source. You got to get back in the source. And then you got to reevaluate your priorities. Now, this is so important. So you ask yourself this question, what season am I in right now? You can't do everything at once. Some things need pruning, not permission. It's just a fact. This happened the other day. My little girl had a field trip, and Nikki was supposed to be with her mama on Friday for a procedure, or Thursday or something like that. And so I was going to go with Presley to the field trip. And I'll be honest, I did not want to go because I felt like I was going to be the only dad there. I just felt like it was going to be a bunch of moms and me there. So Nikki's like, I'll take Presley. And I had some other stuff I had to get done on that Thursday as well. And it's not that we prune stuff. It's not that we just tried to just cancel stuff out. We just reevaluated those priorities at that moment. The funny thing was, when she got home, she told me how many dads were there. And I was like, so I probably could have went, but it worked out fine though. Everything was good. So you reevaluate your priorities. You can't do everything at once, but maybe you have to say, all right, so you sit down with your family and you say, all right, so we're going to do this week. We're going to do this week, and we're going to do this. We have to do some shifting. We have to do some reevaluating, but it's just part of who we are. For me, in the ministry, there are times I wish I could be places, but sometimes the ministry, the reality is ministry does take precedence. Sometimes it does, because it's the calling of God that's on your life. It's funny to me, and this is what I'm trying to get people to understand. It's funny to me that ministry is the only place that we feel bad about serving in sometimes. It is. A man or a woman can have a job in the corporate world and they can be gone 40, 50, 60 hours a week, and that's no big deal because they're making money for their family. But now you let a pastor or you let a leader or somebody in ministry have to put in more hours. Well, you're negating your family for God. Get out of here with that mess. It's part of our calling. It's part of our job. I didn't choose this. In the corporate world, we chose to do what we did. Now, we could have had the impartation of God on our life to do that position. So let me rephrase that. But I didn't choose this. It chose me. And so I don't feel bad sometimes. There's times I have to reevaluate and restructure. At the end of the day, finding the balance is finding out what takes priority at that moment. So reevaluate your priorities. What season am I in right now? What's going on right now? You can't do everything at once. Balance isn't built in a day, it's built in decisions. Balance isn't built in a day. For me personally, I struggle sometimes. Friday is a busy day in the office, and I try to record podcasts on Fridays, but the past couple of weeks, it's been a little bit of a struggle for me. So I'm trying to find that balance in doing these podcasts. I really want to record 4 or 5 at one time. But for me, I'm not trying to put out a bunch of content to put it out. So I'm really trying to kind of navigate what I put out every week. And so for me, I'm recording on Sunday morning. Now, could I have found time last week to record? Probably so. The problem was I didn't know what I was going to say. I was praying about it, thinking about it, didn't know what vein I was going to move in. So I just had to kind of reevaluate some things. So I could have rested at the house this morning, but I said, hey, Presley's with mom and dad this weekend, my mom and dad. So I told Nikki, I said, I'm going to get up early and go to church. She was cool with it. I was cool with it. It worked out fine. I'm here early. I got to see a beautiful sunrise, and I got to report a podcast for you beautiful people out there today. So you just have to reevaluate your priorities sometimes. You got to rest in grace. So here it is. You got to reconnect to your source. You got to reevaluate your priorities, and you got to rest in grace. You're not going to get it right every day, and that's okay. Give yourself permission to fail. Give yourself permission to get it wrong sometimes. You're just not. How hard you try, you're not going to get it right every day, and that's okay. Grace just doesn't forgive us. It paces you. It helps you find the pace in life. So when you get in that vein of grace, when you get in that movement of grace, it's really helping you find the peace of God and the pace of God for that life. Even the Energizer Bunny. that one that was just always hitting that drum. Even the Energizer Bunny had to recharge his his batteries eventually. Jesus said, "Come unto me, all you who are heavy laden, and I'll give you rest." Can I tell you this? You can't carry what you won't surrender. You can't carry what you won't surrender. So you have to learn to give up some of this stuff, reorganize. Okay, so this week ministry may come first. Okay. Family may have to come first this week. Okay, whatever it is. I know that's difficult to hear sometimes, but it's the reality. We want God to be first all the time, and he should be. So let me rephrase that. So God came first, but those other two, job and family, sports and family, friendships and relationships and family, kids, family, whatever it is, find the balance. Find the balance and try to navigate it the best you can. It's okay if you don't always get it right. It's okay if you have bad days. It's all right. Just find the flow of grace. Let me go back over those. Reconnect to the source, plug back into Jesus, reevaluate your priorities, rest in grace. It's just a fact. You can't carry it all, you can't carry what you won't surrender. You got to turn some things over to him. So here's the takeaway. You ready? Balance isn't about being busy or being still. It's about being aligned. It's about being aligned. So if you can get alignment in your life, when your priorities match your purpose, peace follows naturally. It's just a fact. It's just a fact. So take some time to reevaluate this week. Take your kids to work with you one day. Bring them in, put them in the break room if you have to. Hallelujah. Make them see what it's like to work a 9 to 5. You can't carry what you won't surrender. Trust him this week. You'll find balance. You'll find peace. You'll find what you need. You'll get it. Balance isn't a schedule problem. It's a soul problem. It really is. For me, when my life gets out of balance, more than likely, I have unplugged from the source. And when I've unplugged from the source, I've missed everything else. When you get in that flow and you get in that rhythm and that vein where it just comes so, in preaching, they talk about there's a cadence to preaching. And there really is, especially for guys like me who are more on the energetic side of preaching. There is a cadence and a rhythm that comes with preaching. And there's been times I've been preaching where I felt the anointing so strong, and I felt the pull of the people so strong, and I felt the presence of the Lord so strong that there was such a rhythm and a cadence. It was like just a smooth train on a track that was just, you just had that rhythm and you had that cadence. And in life, when you get good balance, you'll find that rhythm and you'll find that cadence. And sometimes you're ready. Sometimes that requires you to get up early and go to bed early. It does. You can't go to bed late and sleep late and get your heart. And for me personally, I like to stay up late. Honestly, it's my reading time. It's my winding down time. And some mornings I like to sleep till 7 o'clock. That's tough when my wife's up at 5 o'clock. But there are days when I get my day started earlier, I really feel just more of a balance and a peace because I feel like I've got more time during the day. So balance isn't a schedule problem. It's a soul solution. If you're feeling overwhelmed, pause today. If you're feeling tired, pause today. And here's what you do when you pause. You pray, you breathe, you realign, you repeat. Pray, breathe, realign, and repeat. Pray, breathe, realign, and repeat. And let the Spirit set your rhythm again. Let the Spirit set your rhythm again, because when the Ruach, there's that word, the Pneuma, the Holy Ghost, my little daughter says, Holy Ghost, cuz when the Ruach leads your pace, you don't just move, you flow. Woo! That's good right there. When the Ruach leads your pace, you don't just move, you flow. Well, look, it has been 29 minutes of me rambling and talking. Thanks for listening to Movement Conversations today on this beautiful Monday. If this episode has helped you, share it with somebody. If you've been running on empty, listen to it again. If you know somebody that's been running on empty, let them listen to it. If you can, do me a favor. We're trying to get this podcast to really take off. We feel like God's going to do some great things with it. And you can help us by sharing this podcast today. Not just sharing the podcast, but you can follow us at Movement Church. You can follow me at pastorchrisHall.tv. Just join the conversation, join the movement. And remember, family, you don't have to carry it all. You just have to carry what God gave you. Until next time, stay steady, stay surrendered, and keep moving forward. I love you. I'm praying for you. I'll see you next Monday.